Hello, community. Welcome to Black Girl Magic Market, where we are centering ourselves in lifting up the economic empowerment and liberation of Black women. You are joining us during our virtual meetup, our quarterly meeting, and we are so happy and excited to be able to focus on what are we doing to wrap up this quarter and what are we doing to prepare for the next. And having these candid conversations with business leaders, industry leaders, and those that have a lived experience being an entrepreneur. I have brought in Miss Faith Bynum to help us check in on our kitchen, and you will find that she is someone to connect with. Definitely a leader in community, CPA firm that has passion, compassion, equity, leadership, and can meet your business where it is and show you how to track through. So we're going to spend some time talking with her today, and I'd like to take a moment to just open up the space. Welcome, Faith, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. First of all, I appreciate the invitation to come on this amazing platform. I bring greetings from Raleigh, but I am actually from Durham, and I love the Bull City. I just had to put that in there. But I went to North Carolina Central University, and from there, I started working for a nonprofit as soon as I graduated. I graduated from NCCU in 2004, and then I started working for a nonprofit organization called The Initiative. And I was there for about 10 and a half years, and it afforded me just a lot of opportunity. I started off as a staff accountant, and then about 3.5 years later, I went to become a senior accountant, and then I was promoted again to the financial controller. And I remained in that position for the remaining tenure. And then from there, I was also afforded other opportunities behind the scenes. One of the things that once I had became an accountant, I understood that I did not necessarily love accounting, but I actually preferred business, just the overall understanding of business and the nuts and bolts of that. But accounting allowed for me to really walk into some doors that I can't say that I would not have walked into, but I think it would have been just a little harder. And I was a lobbyist for about 2 years while I was at the initiative. So while I was there, I was going back and forth to the General Assembly, and I would sit in on different subcommittee meetings for the CEO and report back to him and things like that. So that was like really good experience, and that allowed for me to get from behind the desk. Then, things happened and I got laid off. They had experienced some budget cuts. So I was laid off in 2004. And by that time, I had become a licensed CPA in North Carolina in 2012. And the power of social media, I had I was like, yes, I passed the CPA exam, woohoo. And immediately I had gotten my first client after that. Now, mind you, I was not looking for it. I was not looking to start a business. I did not think that I would go into business until I was about 40 years old. But the time came for me at 34. And when I was laid off, I had my little handful of clients that I was doing taxes for on the side. And I had maybe one bookkeeping client. And I was so scared. I was so afraid. And they really spoke into me and they said, listen, it's time for you to step out. We've been wanting more of your time anyway. And so I took my 5 clients, and in January 2015, I went full time with Faith Bynum CPA PC. And now 5.5, moving on 6 years later, it's me and 8 other employees. So I'm thankful, really thankful.
Amazing. I can't even believe time has gone by that quickly, right? I remember when you were just getting your banners, the tall
yes,
with your photo on. I was like,
yikes. Woo.
But but just the tenacity that you showed, even in your fear, how incredible it was for you to take that leap. And that is really not easy. It's not comfortable, but look at the rewards. Look at the reward.
Yeah, it was, nothing ventured, nothing gained. And I think I had never been a risk taker. Okay, let's just be very clear. I was never a risk taker. I was always a planner. 1 + 1 = 2 to me. It was always like that. It's not 2.5. It's not 2.25. It was 2. And here's my spreadsheet, and these are my bills, and I paid everything. It was that, but entrepreneurship showed me something totally different. It's been a true faith walk. I've had tears, I've had triumphs, I've had challenges, I've had joyous moments, I've had clients gain, clients lost, all of that in this process. So it's not for the faint at heart, that's for sure.
Now, I mean, the way you just said that, right? Like, you gave us the real and the raw. But let's tell the audience about what you do. So you are a certified public accountant with your firm, and this is what you built your business around. But can you just tell us a little bit what that entails?
For sure. So a certified public accountant, the beautiful thing about what we do is that quite naturally, taxes and financial statement preparation, all of that is the first thing that comes to mind, especially taxes. But certified public accountants are also business strategists. So, you take financials and let's just say your balance sheet and your income statement, and we prepare those. But then it's also creating the narrative around it. And I think that is one place that a lot of business owners miss is the story that your business is speaking. And CPAs, a lot of times we add that narrative to it. And we say, okay, listen, if you cannot interpret what these financials are really telling you, then what's the use? So we're business strategists. We are, a lot of us, we're analytical. And so a lot of times it's comparing, okay, this is your year this year compared to next year, and or wherever it is you're trying to go. So we'll do cash flow analysis, we'll do budgeting. Budgeting, that's the word of the century, it seems. Everyone wants a budget. Everybody's trying to get one if they don't have one, or stick to the one that they have. So we do that. We do a lot of forecasting and projections. And so when it comes to things that are financials, financially sound and driven, that's what we do. But the one misconception is that generally CPAs are financial planners, and your financial planners are more with stocks and investments and retirements and planning for that. And we have basic knowledge. Well, I'll speak for myself. I have basic knowledge, but I am not going to tell you what to invest in to optimize your retirement, because it may not work out so well. But there are some CPAs who are also CFPs, certified financial planners. But that is not what I am. But the general scope, though, of all things tax, all things financial statement preparation, cash flows, all that good stuff, that's what we do.
Incredible. Thank you for lifting that up and kind of helping us figure out where we are on the journey. I love that you brought up the part about, the help with the vision casting and looking at projections as well as giving narratives. I think that is so important. Especially because it's a different perspective. Everything is data driven.
Yes.
Times now. And so I see this as a translation of data of what we've been doing. I know for me as an entrepreneur, I feel like my life motto is I'm going to show you better than I can tell you. But
Yes,
the accompaniment of having a CPA walk with you on that journey is that they can better show you how to tell it and to
hmm
look at what comes next and plan
that
to
is true.
look at it. So I'm definitely so glad that you um, amplified that. Now, I know when I first was introduced to you years ago,
Yes.
you were beginning your business around your clientele that was really focused on a set industry. I would love to hear how has that changed now? Has it expanded? Are you still focusing on that subset? And then maybe tell us a little bit about why does it matter? Like how much weight does it hold on if we're interviewing CPAs to try to find one that we can work with? If you could share a little
Absolutely.
bit about that too.
For sure. So at the beginning, the beauty industry was something that I was highly connected to. My mom, her best friend was still is actually a hairstylist. So I've always been around beauty shops, hair salons, all of that. You had to keep you a beautician. And so, and so I was always around it. So that was definitely a connection there. And so I've always been curious as to, because that is a huge, like, multi-billion dollar industry, and there's a lot of money that is made in the beauty industry. But one of the things that I realized head on, now maybe it's changed since I was very close to it, but business courses were not exercised, and or entrepreneurship courses were not taught in beauty school, or barber school, or and all the other subsets of schools that's within that industry. And I said, well, this is one of the industries where they come out and they're entrepreneurs or sole proprietors immediately.
Mhm.
So not really understanding the responsibility is detrimental, right? And so I think that what that did was that started something greater, which was I wanted to root for the small business and the entrepreneurs that were starting off, regardless of what industry it was, and be able to present the fundamentals. Because some people, they think that you cannot get a CPA when you're first starting out, but au contraire, it doesn't matter the industry. I think that the earlier that people really understand what responsibilities that they have as it relates to business in particular, I'll get to individuals in a moment, but um, it's a responsibility as soon as you step into it, right? And everyone doesn't really understand the weight that carries both the good and the bad. So I think for me, when I started off in the beauty industry, over time, of course, your concentration is going to expand, and that's what happened. And so we started then dealing, so we still have a huge number of beauty industry professionals that make up our clientele, but we also have nonprofit organizations. We've always, first of all, with me coming from nonprofit, quite naturally, you're going to have your toe in it a little bit. So we still do have that. And then additionally, a lot of professional service or companies, like your attorneys, therapists. We have a lot of therapists, as a matter of fact. Doctors' offices, things of that nature is something that we have seen an influx in. And then you have, pockets of businesses in between. So we offer really our services to an array of communities, except for manufacturing. We don't do that. It's cost of goods sold and all of that. No. A bunch of inventory. No. There are other accounting firms who will do amazing. They do amazing work, and guess what? We refer them. So absolutely.
Good stuff. Thank you for lifting that up. One of the things I guess that stuck out based on what you said is, when you're choosing a CPA that, and you may be a business that has very different connections under your enterprise, is that a good fit across the board, or should you focus on someone that is looking at your financial projections or strategy based on the industry that they may specialize in?
That's a good question. One thing that I tell people is date. This sounds crazy. But
sounds like it's about to get good.
Like you would before do your research with them. Get these free consultations, because there are a lot of accountants that'll at least give you a good 15 minutes or so with consultations. And so a fit can be what they specialize in, or the fit can be, they get us as a company. It may not be their specialty, but as long as the financial statements are accurate, at the end of the day, even if it's not their specialty, they may be a good fit. A fit can be considered, hey, are they going to answer my emails within a 24-hour time span? Do I have to wait days and days on end to get answers to my tax questions? And also too, like people, these referrals, they're very important because folks are going to tell it. They are going to tell, if their experience is bad, then they're going to tell it. And if it's good, they're going to tell that too. And so I think when people are looking for a CPA, just like you would if you don't have a good gut feeling, let's just say it's someone that is like, hey, I'm a real estate developer and investor, and I am dealing with this CPA and they specialize in real estate, which is great. But, maybe they specialize in real estate investments of 5 million and above. You don't want to ever feel like a number, like I'm just another to this. That's not good. And so I tell people, try them out, do your homework, get these free consultations, ask these questions that, along with what do you specialize in? But in addition to that, it's what are your business practices? How do you run your ship? That's very important, because again, financials, and what's the safeguard? Do you have a secure portal to be able, are you just keeping stuff on a Google Drive? Like, these are things that you need to know as it relates to that partnership, because that's what it is. That's truly what it is. Like, you're partnering with a CPA firm, and they are going to, you're paying them to be your trusted advisors. But also, the more comfortable, and what I found is that the better the relationship is between us and the client, then it will spark qualitative aspects of the engagement through conversation that, is, if we have that, then we can better advise and we can better offer counsel, professional counsel. Those things are too important not to take into consideration when you're looking for a CPA.
I love this. So where we are in our economy, knowing specifically that when we look at diversity and inclusion, it seems like because it's numbers, like it wouldn't be an issue. but bad assumptions, right? I know there has to be some caveats in how you were choosing CPAs that maybe having equitable awareness or sensitivity and understanding. I just wanted to take a moment to see if you could talk about that a little bit, or if you've identified anything that we should be aware of in how we're choosing.
For sure. So one statistic that I think more people and companies all across the board, business owners all across the board, CPAs, minority CPAs make up less than 10% of the profession. That's an issue. That is an issue. For certified public accountants, we still make up less than 10%. One of the things I think why this space for me in entrepreneurship is very important is because, for one, I do have a diverse staff. But I think too, it gives me the space to be able to address this. And we cannot deny the fact that with this social climate of injustice that we have seen, people are, and I'm not talking about just minorities, but people across the board, they are wanting to work with minority-owned firms. And we have seen a peak in inquiry, and not just, again, just a diverse peak all across the spectrum for our services. And some of the things that we have heard is we want to work with a minority certified public accounting firm. But the reality is that there are not a lot of us as far as full-time entrepreneurs. And so one of the things that I tell people is that if diversity and inclusion is something that's important to you, which in this day and age, it should be to us all, there's nothing wrong. And I encourage for people to ask the stance of the company. Where do you stand? How have you incorporated diversity and inclusion into your business practices? And if you haven't, do you plan to in the future? Because it's important. Financial professionals, we are needed. Our faces have to be seen and our voices must be heard. And although we are being, I think our businesses are being approached and penetrated in different ways, and that we're thankful for, we also have to bring the awareness to our young college students and our high school students. Listen, there is still a huge minority and a diversity gap that we're needing to truly fill. But as you are, and as people are looking for the right fit, the financial advisor fit for their companies, then diversity and inclusion should definitely be a conversation.
Thank you for amplifying that. And thank you for, I did have an opportunity to look at your website, and I saw that your staff is very diverse and inclusive. And I think it's just power with that intention, right? You know, that goes back to the show them better than you can tell them. You know,
Yes.
We can complain about what's wrong, but we can also, you put that same energy into creating what's right. And I've seen that you've been able to do that with your firm, and definitely appreciate your intention and your focus to be able to bring this new reflection of what's possible and cast the net to say, hey, you know, we need more. You know, that's always my thing. Like, we shouldn't be anomalies. There should be us. And so we just have to find them and let them know that there's space for them to turn their light on. Mm-hmm. And definitely appreciate you being a good representation and example of what's possible.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So with your clientele, are there any limitations having a CPA? Is it Do they have to be state certified within that person's state of registered business? Can it be anywhere in the globe? Are there any limitations?
No, there are, well, let me go back. We do prefer domestic businesses, so anywhere in the 50 states. Anywhere within the United States, that really does matter to us. A lot of times when you get into international, another set of rules, and I'm not going to lie, we do not stay abreast of that, but it can be anywhere within the United States. And because the federal laws, that's what they are. It's just the state. So you have to be familiar. And a lot of times, depending on what happens is that if we get a client or potential client that's in a certain state, then we'll read up on, because states, they vary. And so whatever North Carolina is doing may not be what Texas is doing. So, we'll do our due diligence, but, and then, it can be, even if you're, depending on the maturation stage in your business as well. I mean, I tell people, if you open your doors 3 hours ago, come and talk to us. Even if you're only bringing in $25, listen, you got to know what to do with it at $25. So I mean, if you got to be diligent with 25, the same way that you would be diligent with 250,000.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you for amplifying that. So if someone wanted to get into contact with you to have someone from your firm give that initial consultation, how can they reach out?
All right, so there are a couple of ways. If you just want to do the old-fashioned phone, pick up that receiver, and you can call us at 919-858-6807. Additionally, if you want to send us an email, feel free, info@faithbynum.com. If you want to go on our website, we're actually revamping our website, but we have a contact us as well, and someone will be in immediate contact. Well, if it's between the hours of 9 and 5, Monday through Friday, but you can also reach us on there. And also social media. We are Faith Bynum CPAPC on Instagram. We're also Faith Bynum CPAPC on Facebook. We're also Faith Bynum CPAPC on LinkedIn. So there are a lot of ways that you can contact us.
Yes, a highly credible resource within our community. Wow. And so happy to see you're continuing to grow and expand. So 6 years in, what do you see yourself in the next 6 years as we close out?
Oh, wow. I would love to continue to grow the team. It's so beautiful and rewarding to see your staff blossom and grow and shine. And so I would love to do that. I do have a couple of other dreams, but that's the main thing, is to really grow to where I'm providing jobs and good benefits for them, and to continue to have them develop to be the best professionals that they can be. So hopefully, if we have 8 now, hopefully by that time, maybe 20.
Yes, I love it. So, and here's what we can do here in BlackGirlMagic.Market. People being hired at her firm is growth for her, but it's also just cause for us, because we get to grow if we choose to work with her as a CPA. So us bringing work referrals to her gets her an opportunity to hire more staff, and we have centered around economic equity for another Black woman and creating a pipeline of success. So this is how we move, this is how we grow, and we learn and grow together. So I'm so happy to know that you are pushing strong and offering this service as a resource within our community. I'm so happy that those that joined us during our quarterly meeting learned today about a CPA and what is so important about having one with our businesses. And we're so happy that she is reaching out and offering her services through her firm. So if you can't get her, you We'll get someone that works with her, so be okay with that. That's what growth looks like.
Thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Yes, remember that as you're growing, that's a good problem. You know,
Yes.
have to be amplified. That it isn't about you getting riches, but it's about you adding resources to get more employment to people that need it. You are securing jobs here in North Carolina. Like
That's what I want.
yeah, like in a pandemic, you're giving job security and you're creating job security for more people. I love it. That's what
I appreciate it. Yeah, that they make me, I'll say this, without them, I could not be here doing this right now at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you know? And I think that lead, if you're going to lead, then you have to make sure that your folks, that your team are fed first. And that's one of the things that I think I tried my best to adopt. So I appreciate them so I can do more of this.
Yes, thank you. Thank you again for joining us. Remember, you can connect with us in the community, Black Girl Magic Market on Facebook, the group, the page, and Black Girl Magic Market on Instagram. And you can go check out our website, BlackGirlMagic.Market. Thank you for joining us in our time today.